Show, the Drew and Fuse Show. They clean up nicely. It's the Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. The Drew and Fuse Show. Yeah, they clean up nicely. Yeah.
Yo, what is up?
What's up? What's up, Fuse? And all the Daft Punks listening out there. Connection actually seems to be working correctly today.
We got a good connection.
We got a good connection. That was crystal clear. I'm excited about that.
Busy weekend this past weekend. I played 3 gigs this weekend. One was on Fountain Square, which you've been to, and that was interesting, but we can talk about that at a later time. Did you have a good weekend?
It was a great weekend. Yeah, I had a wedding, I had a nightclub, and I had a senior citizen corporate party. So it was the gambit. When there was a jazz band playing 40s music right before me, and
were they foxtrotting?
They were definitely foxtrotting, and the oldest guy of all time comes up to me. He's like, I don't like the jazz, but I do like the rock and roll. And I'm thinking, what era of rock and roll could we possibly be agreeing on if you're saying 40s jazz is not your deal? So, no, it was it was interesting, and that I like that. It was the gambit, so yeah. It was cool.
Totally. Real quick, if you guys are not on Direct Music Service, make sure you head over to Direct Music Service. Use the code Drew and Fuse Show. It'll get you 30% off your first month of activation. Also, in the description of the video below and in the podcast description, there'll be a link for the Photo Booth Supply Company. If you're in the market for a photo booth, make sure you use that link. It'll help the show out. It won't help you out. It'll help us. And, we need all the help we can get because look at us. Also, we are not sponsored by Liquid Death, and it's a $700 million company now, and you would think they could help out your boys who basically brought the company to life. So without us there would be no Liquid Death. So cheers. Also, make sure you head over and check out our friends at Club Cannon. If you're in the market for any cryo effects, make sure you check them out. Tell them Drew and Fuse sent you. Get the Club Cannon. It's awesome.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
So today we have an awesome guest for you guys, and we're just gonna get right to it. He's a veteran DJ and a producer. His production catalog has names that include U2, Sting, Coldplay, Madonna, Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Bastille, Ariana Grande, Zedd, Mark Ronson, Erasure, One Republic, Rihanna, Jennifer Lopez, Selena Gomez, Chris Brown, Kelly Clarkson, Britney Spears, Pussycat Dolls, Beyonce, Donna Summer, and even Korn. In 2016, he won a Grammy for his remix of Mark Ronson featuring Bruno Mars, Uptown Funk, which also that song won 3 other Grammys, including Record of the Year that year. He has over 135 Billboard Dance #1s. He has a new album releasing this week titled Motions. Please help us welcome Dave Aude. Hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us here today.
I actually love DMS. I use it a lot, so it's kind of cool to do this with you guys, because it's actually one of the things I go to, one of my go-tos for music.
Awesome. We love hearing that.
Yeah, that's huge to hear. We're happy because we try and curate, and we're always hoping that people outside of just the small little bubble that we talk to are being able to pick from tracks on there. So that's rad to hear.
Yeah,
totally.
Well, good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on here.
Where are you located out of?
Right now I'm in the same place I am every day for the last 25 years, i.e. the studio or the stew. Can't see about this one. And but I moved to 4.5 years ago. I moved to Nashville, so I'm in Nashville, Tennessee, aka Music City.
Awesome. We will be there in a couple weeks. Actually, both Drew and I will be there.
Is that
in a
right?
couple weeks. Yeah.
Are you
We
guys
are
playing
going-
somewhere here?
Maybe we're kind of working out those details right now. We're
Okay.
going for what's called DJ Collective. It's it's like a conference for DJs. And Drew, you've been.
Yeah.
You want to explain
Yeah.
it a little?
Conference for DJs. A lot of the DJs across the country that are in the private event space. Some are in the corporate space. Some are just doing nightclubs and kind of educating people. And there's some parties, but at the same time, there is education and learning. So we're going to be doing a
Okay,
panel.
and that's here in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yes.
we're-
Who knew? I had no idea this was going on right here. There's so many things going on in the city on a weekly basis. I've never seen so many events like you don't even. I was at a friend of mine who happens to be a DJ for a long time. He invited me down to a hotel last week, and it was a blueberry convention.
What?
No, I can't. I'm not even making this up. This is like, I mean, they're like literally having a conference about blueberry. All the blueberry people that harvest blueberries all across the world flying in to talk about blueberries. And I was just like, I just can't even believe something like this is even happening. And yeah, there you go. So proves my point that that crazy things are going on here in Nashville.
I was there earlier this year, and it was just Bachelorette Central. It just pink everywhere, lots of pink hats, and drunk girls stumbling around.
It's literally the Bachelorette capital of the world. When I moved here, the first 6 months I was here, I wrote a song called "Bachelorette's on Broadway," and it's actually on Spotify. It's got like 30 million streams, and for an artist named Willie Jones. Because my wife and I we were eating our first hot chicken, because hot chicken is like a thing here. And
Yeah, totally.
this John Deere tractor goes by with all these girls on the back. Woo! We have like Bon Jovi playing or something. And so we're like, what the hell was that? And then another one came by, and we figured out it's the Bachelorette capital of the world.
And how long have you been there? And if it's recent, what brought you to Nashville?
Those are two great questions. I've been here 4.5 years. I was born and raised in LA. A lot of people think I still live in LA. My heart's in LA. I was born there. And when I was there, I was like the only guy that was from there. Everybody else had like moved there. So when I'd have interviews and stuff, it's like, you're from LA? I was like, yeah, I was actually born in Van Nuys and lived there my whole life until 4.5 years ago. My wife and I just made a crazy decision to move here to raise our kids here. We didn't want to raise them in LA. We wanted to raise them here. So that's why we moved here.
That's cool.
Smart. I'm sure 4.5 years ago, you could buy a crazy property, especially moving from LA.
Yeah. I'm on 1.2 acres.
That's nice.
It's very nice. Very nice. I thought we were going to have probably 3 to 5 acres, but when we did come out here 4.5 years ago, there wasn't 3 to 5 acres available. There was just and now there's, as you know, nothing available. So, it's a lot better than the houses in the valley in LA, which are just like 1/8 what I have now. So,
yeah. I'm outside of LA. I'm in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Fuse is in Cincinnati. So I still am feeling that pain here in LA.
You're in Cincinnati? You're in Cincy?
I'm in Cincy. Yeah.
Wow. Cincinnati.
Mhm.
My stepfather was from Cincinnati, and he's the one that sort of got me into music and, gave me my first few 8 tracks and to listen to, dating myself. And
do you remember what one of those was?
Yeah, 8-track. I actually had some 8-track tapes a long time ago. Those
No,
are some
I'm
of the
saying,
first...
do you remember like one of the artists or one of
Oh,
one of the
of course
first
I
ones was?
remember. Of course, somebody date myself even more. The first 8 tracks I listened to were Seals and Croft, Beach Boys, Barry Manilow. Those are the only 8 tracks I remember. I'm sure there was more.
Okay.
8-track tapes.
I love it.
Yeah, Cincinnati's it's about a 4-hour drive to Nashville. It's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not too far. So you're a Bengals fan.
I am Bengals fan. Well, I gotta say, I'm it's been a life of misery being a Bengals fan.
Yeah.
And in 2019 I moved and I was so fed up with everything. It was, before the Joe Burrow, and I just threw all my Bengals stuff away and I was like, I am done. I am done being a Bengals
That's
fan.
hardcore, throwing all your stuff away.
I threw it all away. I moved and I threw all the jerseys away, all the shirts, everything. I was done with it.
And then they start winning.
Yeah, well, we're trying. We're trying. We went to the Super Bowl, which was great, super fun. It was amazing here in Cincinnati during that time, and getting back there is a hard thing to do. So hopefully we'll see. They're doing okay this season, and hopefully they'll keep the ball moving. But I'm more of a baseball guy myself. I'm more into the Reds, which equally are terrible right now. So.
Well, my brother was a baseball player. My brother got signed out of high school to play baseball for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh, nice.
And and he actually made it to the major leagues. I saw him hit his first major league home run at Dodger Stadium.
Nice.
My little brother, Rich Aude, and he was his favorite player of all time was Pete Rose. So Pete Rose,
that's cool.
Pete Rose was his favorite player and got him into baseball. So hence, probably because of my stepfather, who was from
Cincinnati.
So,
yeah, that's awesome.
I'll be walking around Caesar's Palace Mall anytime I'm in Vegas, and 9 times out of 10, Pete Rose is signing autographs at one of the memorabilia stores right there.
What an amazing player. We don't have to go into the baseball stuff, but let's talk about some music, guys.
Yeah,
totally.
We're gonna hit him.
All right, so we've got some rapid fire. We'll play a little segment video here, and then we'll get into some questions. Here we go.
Hey, this is the king of pop, Michael Jackson. Drew and Fuse, let's talk questions. In fact, let's do some rapid fire. Now, I know these rapid fires aren't always so rapid fire, and that is okay by me. I got nothing but time. Now, let's look at the man in the mirror and get started.
Wow.
All right. That's Michael Jackson.
Wow. I wasn't expecting it. That was not expected.
That was what we're trying to warn you ahead of time that we have fun segment videos, and it's really just shake it up a little bit and keep it light.
Where am I? That's awesome. That's awesome.
So our first rapid fire question would be: do you play any instruments?
I do. I play piano. Barely. I mean, I play every day. That's what I'm doing all day is this. But I would not consider myself the guy that sits down at parties and plays stuff for people.
If there's a piano at the airport, you're not going to sit down and just wail it out.
Absolutely not. It's weird. I play every day, but does that make sense? I play, but I don't play.
Yes.
Is that right? I play chords and I know what I want to hear and I whatever, but I'm not like that guy that just sits down and starts playing Billy Joel stuff.
Totally. Are you playing out a lot? And if you are playing, what are you using? Record box, or you use Serato, or?
Great question. I am playing. I play about 12 dates a year, so not a lot. 20 years ago, I was playing every weekend, and sometimes 2 times a weekend. A lot of raves 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Back when they were called raves. Dating myself again, and I'm playing about 12 shows a year. I do not play on record box. I use record box obviously to throw music into, and then it gets onto my thumb drives. I'm still doing thumb drives. So I was like one of the first DJs Pioneer gave the CDJ to when it first came out. Karaoke Carl, aka Carl Detkin, when he was running that part of the DJ part of Pioneer, brought them to me, and I made some cool cases for them and traveled around the US for about a year because nobody had, obviously when they first came out, nobody had the CDJ, and it was me and DJ Dan had them, and we would load one song onto a CD and throw the CD into each CD player, feeling like we're still DJing vinyl. Right. And that lasted for about a year, and then they came out with the updated CDJ, which you could put a thumb drive in, and music. And then we started just, music's on thumb drive, and I've been on a thumb drive since then, just basically using CDJs. So no computer anywhere around me when I'm DJing, just thumb drives. And I've been considering getting the laptop out and actually having the laptop with me when I DJ, but I haven't done that yet. I usually sit in the hotel room. Last weekend I was in Chicago and Atlanta. Usually I go to the hotel room for at least 2 hours and put together what I think I want to play before I play. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'll tell you what, my wife came up with something a few years ago, and she said it's just not sexy to look at a computer.
It looks like you're checking your email. Oh, it's true.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, and I understand how the computer is, for most guys that are playing open format and they're just like literally can play anything at the drop of a hat. You don't want to be the thumb drive and the record box on a CDJ, even though the new CDJs are pretty awesome with the search and stuff and the big screen. I get it. It's just not me. I've been very fortunate enough to know kind of what I'm going to play when I go in. It's Dave Aude stuff, and then whatever big, whether I'm playing DJs in Belmar Shore, so I'm playing big records that they want to just be hit over the head with, or playing Pride events where they wanted to hear all the Dave Aude stuff, or the usual Katy Perry Pride stuff. So yeah, thumb drive city. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, you mentioned wanting to possibly use a laptop. What's that drive? Is it the new Serato has the stems available to where you could do stuff live, or what's that drive to really want you?
No, I think I'm just maybe getting lazy in my old age. I don't know, where I just want to have everything just everything there. I don't have to think about it. But I feel when you have your laptop, correct me if I'm wrong, when you have your laptop and you're looking at your laptop, you're probably spending a lot of time just typing in songs you want to play, right? Just search. So I think, either way, you're going to have to do it on your laptop or you're going to have to do it on the CDJ. But I think just having everything, because right now I have like 3 or 4 sticks. Like I'll have all my catalog on one stick, and then I'll have like all the new stuff on one stick, and then maybe old stuff on a stick. So that's just where my brain is and how I'm organizing right now. But there's always better ways to do things, and all it takes is seeing somebody else do something a little different to change the way you work.
Totally. Drew and I are both working DJs, so we unfortunately have to use the laptops a lot. And it works, like you were mentioning, with having multiple different kinds of gigs. Like Drew was saying, he did 3-4 different gigs that are all over the place. And same with me this weekend. I did one that was like mostly background music, and then I did a club Saturday night and then a bar Friday night. So that's when it becomes handy. But I wish I had the freeingness of feeling free from the laptop, because I do envy those that when I see people pop in, stick in the thumb drive, and they just play their set and go.
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, I'll tell you a secret. I was DJing, weddings and bar mitzvahs in the beginning of my career. Probably in the mid 90s, for a couple years, I did that and learned a lot from doing that. But I remember being at those weddings and bar mitzvahs, going, can't wait, one day I'm going to be playing a club and playing whatever the hell I want to play, like not playing Celebration into We Are Family. So, yes. And that day happened, and I literally stopped DJing weddings and bar mitzvahs and haven't done so since. So
that's awesome. Obviously, you've won the Grammy, which is a huge accomplishment, and it's right there behind you. And is there any other big moments within your career, or a night in the DJ booth, or something that's really memorable for you?
I mean, I have a lot of memorable things. I mean, the fact that I'm still doing it after a lot of people kind of burn out or quit, I think, because it's not, anything's not easy in life, but especially something that is really, a youth thing. I think for a lot of people consider DJing and producing records a youthful thing. So I'm just really, really, I feel very blessed to be able to wake up today and have records to work on, and I'm still having a lot of fun. But some big moments in my life. Obviously, the first time I was nominated for a Grammy was 2009. That was for a song with a guy named Dean Coleman. And people don't know this, but it was the lead singer of Maroon 5 was actually on that record.
Really?
But at the time, nobody knew he because it was using an alias named DCLA. And believe it or not, when I remixed the record, I didn't even know it was Adam, and I found out probably after the Grammys came out, and I lost that Grammy. And then fortunately, the second time I was up, I won for Uptown Funk, and then earlier this year I lost again for Demi Lovato and Ariana Grande. So those are big moments. I got to do a song with Betty White, which is just like a weird thing.
Wow. Did you get to meet her? Were you in the studio with her?
Yeah, no, I got to meet her. She's awesome. It's a crazy story, but to not have a crazy long story, she was doing a TV show called Hot in Cleveland, and Luciana and I just had written a song called I'm Still Hot, and her people were looking for a song to sort of promote this brand she was involved in. So it worked out. I'm Still Hot became I'm Still Hot with Betty White, and we changed some of the words, and she came in the studio and like one word at a time recorded vocals, and it became like the original I'm Still Hot was I'll rock your world like a DJ, and she changed it to I'll rock your world with my cheesecake. So, I know. And we just, and they made a video for it. It's on YouTube. It's pretty incredible. So that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I have that.
I actually won an award for that. We got a Telly Award. It's over here. You can't see it, but we there it is. Telly Award.
That's amazing. Awesome. We have I actually have a drop from that song. I was doing radio and I got a drop from that. Hey Drew, tell them why you're still hot, or from Luciana, which I love. Wow. Luciana, I love her so much.
Yeah, Luci's one of my peep. She's amazing. She did a record, her first record she did. Well, she had a couple records, but the first one that really blew up for me was the one with Richard Vision, and that was I Like That.
Yes, I love that track. Love that track.
Her and Dennis White, aka Static Revenger, and Richard Vision did that track, and I reached out to her and it said, you need to come to LA and we need to work. You're incredible. So we've been very good friends, and we've done a lot of records since. So that was a cool moment. Another couple cool moments, working with Sting. I produced I did a remix for Sting in 2002. That turned into a relationship, and we became friends, and I produced half of his album 2 years ago on an album called My Songs. So that's amazing. I've done about 13 records with Yoko Ono, which is interesting. Again, just a weird kind of a.
I will take any Sting or Yoko Ono story, and the rest of the podcast can be over. So anything you got, we're in.
Well, look, that's the closest I'll ever get to John Lennon.
Yeah.
So
totally.
And I really wasn't a fan when I started working with Yoko, and I really learned a lot about her working on 13 songs, and realized that she's a great talent, and she was a big part of John's success. I mean, obviously John had huge success before he met Yoko, but that's Mrs. John Lennon. I mean, you can't really F with that, and she's amazing. And I have I've gained a lot more respect for her working with her. So that was cool. And I did a couple songs. I did Give Peace a Chance. I remixed that, which was a big John Lennon song. She sent me the parts for Imagine, and still hasn't come out because she just, could never bring herself to listen to it more than like 30 seconds, because that song is just iconic.
It is John Legend. It really is. Like when you think about him, John Lennon, when you really think about him, that is that song. Yeah. It
probably, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, but it probably should not get remixed. There's some songs that shouldn't get remixed. I'm sorry, and people probably disagree with me, but that song is just one of my favorite songs of all time. And anyway, so that was a cool moment working with Yoko. I've had a lot. I've worked with some crazy talented people, and I'm very lucky.
That's awesome. I love the Beatles. I've always loved the Beatles. I got to see Paul McCartney in 2011 here at the ballpark with my dad. So that was a really cool experience. Just, it's just one of those things where music it's generational, and he was to sit there with my dad and think, oh, you were listening to this music when you were a kid. And here I am sitting here listening to it with you. And I enjoy it just as much as you did. It was a really cool moment.
Yeah, my dad. You know what? I played my remix of Imagine for my dad, and he cried. And I don't think my dad has ever paid attention to anything I've done except for that one moment, him sitting in my studio listening to that song. So, it's cool. It's cool to share what you do with your parents. Your parents probably don't really know what you do. Because they're not listening to dance music or whatever. They're not involved in DJ culture. So when you have a moment you can share with your parent, that's a pretty awesome moment.
Well, maybe that remix that came up for you was just to have that moment,
You know what? Maybe that's a great point. And those things, I do believe those things do happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when we started doing this podcast, it's been cool. My mom actually watches like we put it on YouTube, and then, obviously most people listen to it, but she sits there and watches all the episodes. And I think it's really helped her understand like the culture and like things as a whole. And like, you see all these people and the careers that they've had just from music. And, there's so much going on that I don't know what I'm getting at, but I think it's really helped her understand, kind of what this is. And,
Yeah, it's not a young man's career. Like you could actually make a living off this, and you can enjoy what you do for your life. So no, that's cool. I like that story.
Yeah. So getting back to production a little bit, what DAW do you use to produce in? Are you in Logic, Pro Tools, Ableton?
I've been using Pro Tools since it came out, which actually that's not true. Pro Tools came out in '89. It was then called Sound Tools. And in '89, I was still in high school, but I was teaching just out of high school, I should say. And I was teaching MIDI and Pro Tools, aka Sound Tools, to engineering students right out of high school. And I didn't use Pro Tools immediately because they didn't have MIDI until '99. So I was using Cubase all through the '90s.
I remember Cubase
and Steinberg Cubase, and it was like the thing to use. And then Cubase abandoned the Mac format. They thought everything was going to go to PC. They didn't know Steve Jobs was going to come out with something called an iMac. So in '99, when Cubase abandoned Mac, Apple, I started using Pro Tools because they came out with MIDI, and I've been on Pro Tools ever since.
That's awesome. Do you have any, somebody asked me to ask you, I told them you were going to be on the show today. If you have any VSTs or plugins that you like that are free ones that you would suggest to use.
Free ones that I would suggest to use. Wow. I can't even think of a free VST that's
or
worth
anything
a nickel.
that
let me tell you things I like.
Okay,
I'll tell you a couple I like. Well, there's a Dave Aude plugin bundle on Waves. If you use Waves, waves.com, type in Dave Aude. There's two bundles, and it's a lot of cool stuff there. But those bundles are really kind of like basic necessity plugins for guys starting out producing. So if you don't know what you need, you want a couple things, go to waves.com and download the Dave Aude bundle just to get you going. But some things I use every day. I use a lot of Valhalla effects. Valhalla makes great reverb and delay effects. Probably my favorite. And a lot of these are not going to be super like crazy deep for people. FabFilter, everything FabFilter makes is incredible. So I use every day my go-to EQ for low pass, high pass, which is the most used plugin producing music, is my FabFilter Q3. So I use that probably every 30 seconds. I'm doing something with a FabFilter Q3 when I'm sitting here working. Other cool plugins, OTT is a crazy, not expensive plugin that you can put on everything, but you should not put on everything. It's easy to put on everything, and that's made by Steve Duda, who was originally deadmau5's producing partner. Now he has X4 Records Transfer Records. I don't even know. Extra Records.
I don't know.
And that's a great plugin. He also makes Serum, which is incredible for a software synth. Talking about synths, I love. I'm a big Roland guy. My first keyboard I ever got, my dad got me a Roland JX3P, so I'm a huge old Roland synth guy. I've had every Roland synth there was. I had a 3P, I had an 8P, I had a 10P, I had a D50, I had a JD800. So a lot of Roland, and then all the rack mount stuff, MKS30, MKS50, MKS70. I did never have an SH2 or an SH1, but I love the Roland Cloud, which is basically, using all the Roland gear on your computer now. You don't have to have all the hardware synths, and they sound exactly like the hardware. So everything Roland.
Do you still have some of those hardware pieces?
I do. They're up, and I have them upstairs. I have a lot of drum machines. So I have a Roland 909. I have an 808. I have a 727, a 707. I have my first drum machine was a 626. I have an OB. Do
you still like producing on those, or do you just prefer
no,
to do it?
No, no, I don't. And here's why. Because why the hell would you want to spend that much time patching stuff? Patch cables here. You know what patch cables are, guys?
Oh yeah, I definitely know what patch cables are.
Patch cables. See these things?
Yeah.
Why would I want to go spend half my day plugging these things in to my patch bay when I can just do everything on my computer? Listen, it's the same thing. You guys remember? I've carried vinyl through the airport for a decade from the beginning of my career, and I remember saying to myself, one day I'm not going to have to carry this vinyl anymore.
Right.
And when that day came, then I carried the fucking CDJs through the airport for a year. That was a pain in the ass, right? But I knew it was going to end, and it finally ended when every club finally got a CDJ. So the point being is, listen, if you have lots of time and this is a hobby for you and you love toying with analog synthesizers, great. Me, I'm working on about 10 to 12 songs a day, going back and forth. And that is the greatest part of technology, is being able to pull up a song, pull up another song, and it's right exactly how you left it. When I started making music, I had analog mixers and lots of analog gear, and I had all my vocals and drums loaded into Akai samplers, and I had to constantly be loading in discs and changing out cables and pulling up new mixes on a mixer. So, it was a lot different. And man, the people starting making records today, producing records today, have no idea how much time used to be involved just on working for one song. It's like me. I remember Crystal Method. If you guys know the Crystal Method.
Oh yeah.
Ken and Scott. We kind of started out making records sort of around the same time. And, we've talked about this. It's like working on one song for a week. For that week, you were working on one song. All week. One song. Yeah. That was it. Right? Because it's like the new Kyoki record or the new remix or whatever. It's like, and for a long time. Yeah, for a long time, that was it. And so look, I would love to pull out all my old gear, all my vintage gear, and plug it in. But for right now, it's in a closet, stored. Maybe I'll give it to my kids. They can have it, and it's just look at it. No, I put it up. My wife wanted to clean the studio. I had all kinds of gear here in the studio. Just look at Chris Cox has got a lot of stuff all over the place in his studio. So he knows.
He does. I was at his house a few months back in his studio, and he's got a lot of stuff for sure.
He's got a lot of stuff. By the way, that's awesome. Good for you. Go crazy with the stuff. Me, I'm not doing that.
I remember two things of what you just brought up. Is I remember having, when the zip drives came up, because I was in recording class early in that time, and it was 100 megabyte zip drive, and I almost fainted. I was like, oh my god, this is like game changing. And megabytes, by the way. This is not like anything.
Yep.
Probably 10 samples on it. And I remember
Game
how excited I
changing.
was. Oh yeah,
10
game
megabytes, game changing.
and I don't know, and I relate to Reason you had Cubase, but I was also using Reason at the time, and Reason I remember being able to flip and like go with the patch bay. It was like, oh my gosh, I got digital patch cables wherever I want to go. I remember just going, that was amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, you can definitely there's definitely different schools of thought. I think when you start producing records, it's fun to have a lot of gear, right? The girls like to come in the studio late night, and you want to have lots of lights going. You know, it looks cool. It looks cool to have all these lights flashing and stuff going on, right? But me, I'm at this point in my life, I'm married, I got kids. I'm not really trying to impress people. I'm trying to make great records. So,
well, we really want to talk about your album coming up here. I think we have maybe one or two more rapid fires, and then we're going to get to talking about music.
Cool.
Yeah, totally. One of the questions we always ask is, what do you think one of your biggest tracks or remixes of your career has been, or to date, I should say?
Well, it's funny. I won a Grammy for Uptown Funk, but I definitely don't think that's one of my biggest remixes. Oddly enough,
I played the Bulletproof remix of yours all the time when that one came out.
That was pretty good. It's a great song. I still play that here and there. It's a great song. You know, the remixes of mine that have been the best have been songs that are just great. Like Beyonce Halo, it's still a great song. People still know the song, they love the song, so you can still play it and people want to hear it.
You did Partition by Beyonce too.
I play that one a lot too.
Yeah, big. That was like the first and maybe one of the last twerk things I did when twerk was a thing, right? As you guys know, all these fun genres that we are continually coming out. That was big. That's a good one. Alexis Jordan, Happiness. That was a big one, especially in the LGBTQ sort of genre. Clubs still play it a lot. That record just came back like on TikTok a few months ago. It was just blowing up for some reason. What else? I mean, I did 8 Gaga remixes. So it's like those are all big. The early Gaga stuff, Poker Face, Love Game, Bad Romance. That's a big one. People love.
I love that one. Definitely.
Yeah, recent stuff. I mean, what did I do last year? Tony Braxton, Demi Lovato, Ariana Grande, even though it's not really like a 4 on the floor thing. It's more of a weekend sort of 80s thing. The Sting stuff, can't go wrong with I redid If You Love Somebody, Set Them Free. Classic Sting song it's like I did this like sort of disco thing before Purple Disco Machine was huge. I did this disco thing for Sting, and it's kind of like along those lines, and I'm proud of that one. Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and Madonna. There's a Madonna record I did called "Girl Gone Wild." That one is a sleeper.
Real quick, you mentioned disco. I've been playing so much more disco than I thought it was basically done for, and it's huge now. I have, I do a lot of weddings, and I have brides that have this laundry list of do not plays, but disco is all on the positive side. I'm going, when did this
laundry
flip, right?
list of do not plays?
Yeah, and then all of like
that.
Celebration, Celebration, We Are Family, all okay, right? All of the disco is like go for it, go ham on the disco.
It just
don't play anything else.
It just works.
Oh, it's great. I'm happy about it now, but it's a trip to think how much it's flipping. I'm curious if you're getting asked for any of that. Just, being a producer, you have to be almost a year ahead of the game, maybe 6 months at least. If that's kind of no, you don't think so? It's just
no. You know what? No, you're right. You're right. It used to be like that.
Okay.
And what I feel is that obviously there's always trends, whether it's bass house or what was a couple years ago, slap house. Remember that one? What's slap house? Like these things always happen, right?
Yeah.
There is so much music coming out right now, so much music that these trends that used to happen in dance music are kind of like not really happening as much because there's so much stuff coming out. there's disco records coming out, and there's progressive records coming out, and there's techno records coming out, there's trance records coming out, there's house records, whatever the hell house means. It's like there's all these, everything's coming out. So it's really, I think as a producer, my thing is you just got to make a great sounding record.
Yeah.
And I could sit around and worry about, I remember a decade ago, it was Future House, right? So it's like making a Future House record. That was a thing because Future House was like the sound. And I think that still definitely inspires people, but you just got to make a great sounding record. That's it.
I
Makes
love that.
sense. All right, one last rapid fire question before we move on talking about the new album. And this is something we ask everybody, and it's very lighthearted. And we're going to make a t-shirt one day with all the answers to this question from everybody. But what is the best non-curse word, one-word insult? If you were sitting in traffic and you're calling somebody that just cut you off something or whatever, what's the word that you choose in front of your kids that you're not going to,
This is a hard question because I really, believe it or not, I think my kids definitely hear my wife slip up a lot more than me. I don't really slip up in front of my. I think I say moron a lot.
Oh, that's
Oh,
perfect. We haven't got that
That's
one.
perfect. We haven't got
There's a
that.
word. There's one you haven't gotten. I think I call people morons a lot because it's not a curse word. So it's like, my kids are now calling people morons, which is nice.
Totally.
You try to bring back a couple words from your youth that your kids don't know, and then you get blamed when your kids start calling people morons. So everyone's a moron. I'll tell you what, it's driving. They do not know how to drive in Nashville. I'm sorry, but they take a totally different driving test than they like to stop and sit through the turn on the red light, which kills me. Like the one or two cars should go every time at the end of the yellow to red, right? And people like to sit through that here and wait for the green.
Coming from
And it killed
LA, I can only imagine the frustration level.
Oh.
My frustration level would be crazy because I don't think we're bad drivers, but when I go to other places, people are either worse or worse in that you're like, what are you even doing? I don't even know what's happening right now. Or they're just not turning,
No, LA people are trying to get somewhere. Everybody out here, they're just like cruising. They're just like, they're just having a good time in the car. So I'm trying to get somewhere as fast as possible. Always.
So you got a new album coming out, and it's called Motions. And the first track, or I should say, the single is Uninvited with Leanne Rimes, and it's a new rendition of an Alanis Morissette track. How did that kind of come about?
Well, let's just really talk about the elephant in the room. Freemasons did a great version of that probably 15 years ago. And something that I loved, I heard Leanne sing it a cappella about 2 years ago. And I said to Leanne, man, I need to redo this with you because you're just amazing. Freemasons version was amazing. A couple UK producers, and they're great guys, by the way. But they didn't have Leanne Rimes singing the song. They had a no-name girl who was great sing the song. Nobody knew who it was. And so I said, listen, we need to get this out. And it took us 2 years, but finally got her to record it earlier this year. And I flew to LA and we recorded the vocal, and just an amazing record. And I'm going to remix it probably in the next month, probably put it out beginning of next year because this year's pretty much over. But super, super excited. Leanne and I have been friends for a long time. One of the most underrated vocalists of all time, Leanne Rimes. She can sing anything and make it sound amazing.
The album's awesome. I was flipping through some of the tracks, and I really liked the God Save the Queens. I feel like the production on some of the songs shows the range of your production, your skills. That one's almost like a little punk rocky with the guitar in there, and then there's the other one I really liked was the This Is Our Time, which is more like piano house kind of, which is cool.
Yeah, look, I've been making records for a long time, and I think some people might expect me to put out an album of just a bunch of bangers, right? Which is kind of like a DJ thing. But this is not really where I'm at in my life or my career. I'm making records. I made a Americana rock album earlier this year for an artist from Indiana. So it's like I'm doing all kinds of different records, and these are just a bunch of different songs that I thought kind of went together. There's a 90s throwback one. There's a couple summary piano ones. There's like a real throwback record that I wrote with Megan Trainor. So, it's not just one thing, which is kind of boring when you hear somebody's album and it's like 10 songs that kind of all do the same. That's why tech house guys aren't putting out albums, because, it's like, you hear one or two songs and you've heard you've kind of heard it,
Yeah.
So it's exciting, and believe it or not, I've put out so many songs over the last couple decades. This is actually my first album, which is weird. I don't know, makes no sense.
And you have your label, right? So this is all
Yes.
done through you. This is all you.
It's all me. It's all Audacious Records. So I barely have a label. I wish I had a full staff of people to run my label and work with me, but I made this label. I started Audacious Records, just basically a place to put out records that I make with my friends, and that's exactly what this album is. It's a bunch of records with me and my friends.
What's the title of the Megan Trainor song?
I'm Ready.
Okay.
What pushed you to want to do an album all of a sudden? I mean, you said this is your first album in your career. Just you wanted to be able to explore a whole wide range of everything.
Why not? Yeah, it's like I'm just like I think earlier this year I was talking to my manager, and we're just thinking like, why haven't I put out an album? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Why haven't I put out an album? Let's do it. So, well, we got this song you just wrote with this person. You got this song you just did with this person. Let's take all these songs and put together an album, and let's do it. So it was just really one of those things where I just took a couple months from making other people's records, which is very scary, by the way. And if you're trying to support a family in music business, taking a couple months off and doing your basically not getting paid from somebody, one of the scariest things I've ever done. But it feels good that I have an album coming out.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
It's huge.
One other question that we had for you. This is kind of going back, not about the new album, but we saw that you were the music director for the Pussycat Dolls tour. What all did that entail, and what did all you have to do with that?
Well, Pussycat Dolls. So years ago, Nick Hexum from the band 311 called me and said his girlfriend wanted to make dance music. So turns out it was Nicole Scherzinger. And so she came down to the studio and we started working. And next thing I knew, I was introducing her to my then manager, who then turned out managing her and the Pussycat Dolls. And so I kind of, in a way, found Nicole Scherzinger. She was sort of like, living with Nick Hexum, and they had a couple dogs, and she wasn't like Nicole Scherzinger by any means, but she was amazing. And so I was there in the beginning of Pussycat Dolls, and I just became sort of the go-to guy to kind of put all their music together for their tours. And I obviously remixed like 8 or 9 of their songs. And, I was still involved with them even up till recently. They were supposed to tour right as COVID started. They were supposed to tour the UK, and obviously that thing blew up, and they'll probably never tour again because of attitudes and stuff that happened with girl groups. But yeah, I was just there from the beginning, and I was the guy to always put together their music, and I produced their last single. The last single they ever put out was a song called Hush Hush, and so
I remember that track.
Yeah, it was like I kind of put I Will Survive in the middle of it. And it was like the DJ moment, like, well, let's put I Will Survive, works great in there. So let's do that. So that was my involvement, Pussycat Dolls.
That's awesome.
That's huge. I didn't know they were together. That's crazy. I'm a big alt rock guy, and 311's always been a big band I've loved.
Well, yeah, they're not together anymore. They were together then. This is 20 years ago. They were together, and that didn't last. Once when Pussycat Dolls blew up, I don't think that relationship went out the window.
Yeah. It's hard. I can only imagine.
So one of the things that we do is just called the sauce, and one takeaway that you would like to leave the podcast with and the listeners with could be anything. It could be advice going back, talking about your younger self, or just any takeaway that you would like DJs or producers to take away from this episode.
I here's what I think. I think that if I'm going to give advice, it's always going to be that things take time. Most people want things to happen very quick. For obvious reasons. You want to get on with your life as soon as possible. For me, everything happened a lot later than I thought they would. I spent the first 15 years of my career, figuring things out. Figuring out how things work in the music business, figuring out how equipment works, and how honing my skills in the studio. Even though I started doing it at the age of 13, it's just things take time. And it's like that old saying, if you spend 100,000 hours or whatever, 10,000 hours, whatever it is, doing something, you'll become a master at it. Well, I've been doing this for a long time, and I've made more records than most people, and I'm still figuring things out today. So you just got to stay with it. You have to stay with it. If you're really passionate about music, and you want to have success as a producer or as a DJ or as a remixer or a songwriter or anything in there, you just got to stay with it. And if your heart is really, truly, truly in it, success will happen.
That's
I
amazing.
think that's great advice. So the new album Motions drops this week. That'll be available on all platforms, I assume, everywhere you get your music. Maybe we'll get those tracks, some of those on DMS for you too. DJs will be able to download those and play them. Where else can people find you and your work? You're on Instagram, I know. Do you have SoundCloud? Do you want to promo
I'm
any of
everywhere.
that?
I stopped using SoundCloud when they shut everything down. But maybe I'll start using it again at some point. No, I'm everywhere. It's silly to sort of tell people, because of course you're everywhere. You're not, where are you not going to be? I mean, you'll find me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, I guess. TikTok. I've been trying to get in the TikTok game like everybody else, because it seems like a lot of people spend their time on TikTok. But man, I'm just making music, and hopefully I'll continue doing it for as long as people like you guys are here asking me to be part of your show and listening to stuff that I'm making. So I want to thank you guys for having me here today. I appreciate the love and support, and thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Can't wait to check out the album and for the DJs to hear it.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.